You're watching Good Morning Charleston with John Bruce, Tessa Spencer, Emily Crazy, and Erica Scribble. This is Good Morning Charleston.
Multiple stories breaking overnight. 2 people now in the hospital, including a North Charleston police officer, both though expected to recover. The sheriff's office says a suspect took off from a traffic stop along I-26 around 3:30 this morning.
There was a chase by car and continued on foot when the suspect crashed. A North Charleston officer and sheriff's deputy also crashed into each other at one point. Deputies say they found a damaged safe, gloves, and a crowbar inside the suspect's vehicle. The Highway Patrol is investigating the collisions.
Also breaking tonight, flames shooting up towards the sky during the height of last night's storm.
Neighbors at Fireside Lakes Apartments, that's off Dorchester Road, say they saw lightning, heard a loud boom of thunder, and then they saw this.
Wow.
Yeah, ABC News 4 photojournalist Jason Ty was there moments after that fire sparked. He spoke with startled neighbors who called 911.
I heard the lightning strike crack, and I looked out the window just to see lightning, and I saw the corner of that roof on fire. I just saw the smoke billowing and the flame getting bigger and bigger.
I heard the lightning strike, and I knew that it was really close, and it took about 3 minutes before I realized anything was wrong, and I looked out the window.
At least it didn't affect somebody, a house that somebody was in. So we hurried up and tried to alert everybody that we could right as fast as we could.
Everybody was coming out of their houses, running down the road. I was on 911, and they said, they already had several calls.
To see that they were putting water on it, trying to knock it down.
Luckily, the woman was not home, and it looks like it did not spread to the neighbor's house.
All right, so the storms that triggered that slid off the coast while you were sleeping, making for a much nicer start to your Tuesday.
And hopefully we'll be feeling more of that later today. We could certainly use it after last night. Emily Gracie getting you ready for the day in the First Warning Weather Center. Emily.
Yeah, it was wild last night. We had those storms come through, but they're out of here. That's the good news, and a very quiet day in store for us today. We're seeing those clouds clear out off the coastline. You still kind of see them in some of those live pictures, but mainly clear skies elsewhere. The storm's well off the coast. Now, a lot of lightning still associated with them. That front is clearing, leaving behind lower humidity levels for today. So yesterday it was windy, it was humid, felt pretty tropical out there. Different story this morning. Now, the one thing that we're going to see the same is the temperatures. Still very warm out there, although right now we're cooler than yesterday. We're still not to near normal temperatures. 68 right now, Mount Pleasant, 63 Goose Creek, Moncks Corner at 61. As the day goes on, we are going to warm up back to the 80s once again. The good news, lots of sunshine, low humidity, 75 by 11 a.m., topping out the afternoon, 83 degrees about 4 p.m. I'm going to tell you when those skies clear or cloud back up again, and when we have a good chance of some rain, potentially even severe weather. That's coming up. Let's get a chance look at the roads now with your on-time traffic and Erica Scrippa.
Thanks, Emily. Still clear out there. Nothing that's slowing you down right now. Drive times on 526 right now if you're headed out from Mount Pleasant to West Ashley, you have about a 20-minute drive time. 19 minutes if you're headed out from West Ashley to Mount Pleasant. Seeing all green here on 26 as well, and 17. So pretty clear out there. Let's switch over to Waze. We do have one slow spot reported right now. Dorchester Road at Patriot Boulevard. We do have some heavy volume there. Otherwise, things still looking great on the roads. Let's take a live look at how things are moving on 526 westbound lanes headed toward us, right toward the Don Holt Bridge. Eastbound lanes headed right off of the Don Holt. Definitely seeing some volume build out there, but again, no disabled vehicles, no accidents slowing you down. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson, Toyota of Charleston.
It's 5 past the hour right now, and major developments expected today in Michael Slager's federal case. There's a hearing for the former North Charleston police officer who shot and killed Walter Scott during that traffic stop in 2015. Now, sources tell us that Slager is expected to plead guilty to those charges in federal court. That is brand new information we just received in the last few hours. That's according to an official familiar with the case. There are also several motions up for discussion in the courtroom today. That includes a motion to suppress Slager's official statements just days after the shooting. Slager accused of violating Walter Scott's civil rights and obstruction of justice. That hearing begins at 2:30 this afternoon. You can look for updates both on air and through our ABC News 4 app. Also updating some breaking news. We first brought you last night at 11. A Low Country Walmart back open for business this morning.
You can see the police response there last night. This is the location along Dorchester Road, not far from Latson Road in North Charleston. Police say there was a bomb threat last night. They searched the building but didn't find anything dangerous.
And a developing story out of Somerville. Police say that a teenager is back home there this morning. A 13-year-old was missing for hours Monday. Authorities never thought that she was abducted. They were just worried about her safety. Officials took to Facebook to thank everyone who helped with that successful investigation.
May Day protests turned into a violent riot out west. At least that's how police described it. This is new video from Olympia, Washington. Similar scenes played out in Seattle. People were throwing rocks at police. Officers responded with flashbang grenades. Several businesses were damaged. Police said they would ramp up patrols throughout the morning. This morning, the president is under scrutiny for praising the leader of North Korea.
President Donald Trump, though, invited another controversial leader to the White House. And ABC's Kenneth Moten following it all for us, including those May Day protests new this morning.
Good morning. House Republicans appear to be optimistic about the timing of a vote on their new health care bill. The White House a little more cautious after the president sent mixed messages about what's really in the plan.
This morning, May Day aftermath. Demonstrators against President Trump turned violent in Portland, Oregon. But most of the protests across the country, peaceful. Thousands speaking out against the president's immigration policies. Back in Washington, the fight is focused on health care. The new GOP plan to replace Obamacare allows states to opt out of coverage for pre-existing conditions.
Pre-existing conditions are in the bill, and I mandated. I said it has to be.
But the president said the key component was guaranteed. The White House not really clearing up the claim as House Republicans inch closer to a vote. Press Secretary Sean Spicer defended the president's White House invite to accuse human rights violator Filipino President Rodrigo Duterte to help with the North Korean threat. Trump also told Bloomberg under the right circumstances, he would be honored to meet with dictator Kim Jong-un.
How could that be an honor?
Jonathan, I guess because he's still the head of state, so it is sort of there's a diplomatic piece to this.
The attention on President Trump's foreign policy will continue today when he speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin by phone. Potential issues on the agenda, Syria, and the fight against ISIS. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
And President Trump doubling down on his Civil War comments. A tweet last night reading, President Andrew Jackson, who died 16 years before the Civil War started, saw it coming and was angry, never would have let it happen. Mr. Trump previously compared his presidency to Jackson's during an interview with SiriusXM's POTUS Radio. The president saying that Jackson saw the conflict coming and would have stopped it if he was around longer. Jackson died in 1845, 16 years before the Civil War.
It is 6:09 now. Voters will make their decision on Sullivan's Island today. Mayor Patrick O'Neill is running unopposed, but there are 3 council spots up for grabs. Voting runs from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll follow the race to let you know what happens both on air and online. There's also a primary set for today in the race to fill former Congressman Mick Mulvaney's vacant seat. Mulvaney left office earlier this year to become the White House budget director. There are a number of candidates in the Congressional District 5 race. There are 7 Republicans and 3 Democrats on the ballot. Well, parents across some parts of the Lowcountry are demanding answers from the Charleston County School District.
Saw this one on a whole bunch of different websites. The push coming after parents at James B. Edwards Elementary School in Mount Pleasant were notified that a new principal will be taking over there next year. Parents received this email from Principal Jake Rambo. It states, quote, "It's with great sadness that I write to inform you the school district has decided to move me to be the principal of a different school next year. James B. Edwards will always hold a special place in my heart. This is my school. This is the school I attended as a child, and this is a school where I have my own children."
Mr. Rambo is such a wonderful principal. He knows every single child by name, who belongs to who for siblings, which parents belong to those set of siblings.
Now, Rambo isn't the only one. Parents at West Ashley High also learned last week that Principal Lee Runyon is being moved as well. The Charleston County School District says it's in the process of reviewing teacher and administrative contracts. Principals who are not retiring or resigning have new contracts. In some cases, the details haven't been finalized.
Lang Middle School is going to have a high-profile visit this morning. State Superintendent of Education, Dr. Molly Spearman, will tour the Mount Pleasant School. Spearman focused on the success of the school's national award-winning STEM program. Charleston School District Superintendent Teresa Postaway will host Spearman in a tour of the science and technology departments.
All right, well, time is ticking away. The bill that some say could turn South Carolina into the Wild West, and the movement we're expecting later today.
And an all-new Giving Day by the Low Country tradition being moved now to a new date. And the group ready to take over as host, a story you'll only see right here on ABC News 4.
Cold front has passed, the rain is gone, our winds have shifted direction, they're lighter, and they're bringing in drier air for today. But how long does that dry air stick around? I'll tell you when that risk of severe weather returns. Coming up.
A piece of breaking news right now, an update out of London. Prime Minister Theresa May has expressed gratitude to Prince Philip upon his announcement of retirement. She thanked him for supporting the Queen. Getting a live look right there at Buckingham Palace.
It was announced just a short time ago. Prince Philip will step back from his royal duties. Buckingham Palace says Prince Philip will attend engagements until August. You would think age is the primary reason for all this. Prince Philip is 95 years old, the Queen 91, and both appear, to be in good health Wednesday. The Queen met with the Prime Minister at the Palace. Prince Philip made an appearance at a London cricket club.
Beautiful there in the UK. Now to another story breaking overnight. The Sheriff's Office tells us deputies rushed to a home on Sands Road this morning in Hollywood. We're told that call came in that someone had been shot.
And this is what that scene looked like around 2 this morning. The Sheriff's Office tells us one person suffered a gunshot wound to his lower back. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers 554-1111. That's 554-1111.
And a live look now at the edge of America. Not a bad morning for a walk out on
that is gorgeous.
Beach. Take a look at
Who
that.
Is that
Absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. Though we are learning there could be some problems with that famous pier on Folly. We're going to tell you what's burrowing its way into the pilings and the key meetings set to happen later today.
And a live look right now in Washington. A huge day there ahead as lawmakers try to get a health care deal done. Just how razor thin the margin is, and the people who say a vote is imminent.
All right, so a lot to get to. First, though, we got to get you an update in our First Warning Weather Center.
Meteorologist Emily Gracie is getting us ready for this Thursday. Good morning, Em.
Good morning. We have some changes in our weather, too. It's been a very quiet couple of days, but we are going to see some changes by this afternoon and certainly by this evening. Right now, the radar is dry. We're clear. We're not seeing any rain out there, but those clouds starting to creep in, the humidity starting to come up, and a cold front approaching. There it is right there, starting to pick up some heavier rain in portions of Georgia now, and that is moving in our direction slowly, so it's not going to be here too quickly, but by later on this evening, we are looking at a very good chance of some thunderstorms. Temperatures much warmer this morning. We're in the mid to upper 60s in Mount Pleasant, still in the upper 50s Goose Creek up to Monk's Corner. But we're about to feel a real cool down. I'm going to tell you when these morning lows are going to drop down to near 50 and in some spots possibly the 40s. That's all coming up in just a bit. Let's get a check on the roads now with Erica Scrippa and your on-time traffic.
Thanks, Emily. Right now, we're tracking a couple things out there. Disabled vehicle. It's on the ramp to 26 westbound at Ashley Phosphate Road. Also have an accident still in the works on 26 westbound. That one on the ramp to the North Main Street exit. So we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown in that spot right now. Let's switch over to Waze. Also seeing a little bit of a slowdown. So we're dealing with some road work on 526 westbound from North Red Ave to Clements Ferry Road. So 526 westbound headed toward the Don Holt. A little bit slow going. We have speeds reported just under 30 miles an hour. We're going to take a live look right now. 526 westbound at Clements Ferry. So you can see we have that far right lane blocked off. Cars are trying to merge and all squeeze into that one left lane passing by. So again, we are starting to see things slow down. This road work expected to clear by 7 this morning. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson, Toyota of Charleston.
I just got an update from our crew at that breaking news situation in North Charleston. Photojournalist Josh Rogers speaking with the owner of a business on Spruill Avenue. That man runs the Ready Ice location. He was told by police that a driver crashed into his building during a chase. They told him the driver didn't have his headlights on, tried to escape, but ended up crashing into that building this morning.
That owner says the suspect ran off and tried to hide under a car in a nearby parking lot. We're told he was found. The business owner has spent part of his morning trying to clean up.
And happening today, a vote that could be the first step towards repealing and replacing Obamacare.
But right now, the vote is said to be razor thin. ABC's Kenneth Moten is in Washington with how many votes are needed and the leaders ready to bring the measure to the floor.
This morning, we are already hearing from angry Democratic leaders. They're calling the GOP health care plan a moral monstrosity that will have a negative impact on millions of Americans.
Today, 216 votes. That's what it'll take for the House to pass the GOP health care plan.
We're going to pass it. Let's be optimistic about life.
House Republicans ready to vote after days of face-to-face lobbying by President Trump. Capitol Hill meetings with the vice president to sway those against and undecided. And a last-minute amendment by 2 Republican congressmen to give states $8 billion over 5 years to help cover pre-existing conditions.
With this addition that we brought to the president and sold him on in over an hour meeting in here with him, that we're both yeses on the bill.
This morning, Democrats on the attack.
This is deadly. This is deadly. Trump Care means heart-stopping premium increases for Americans.
Hundreds of leading patient and health groups are speaking out against the bill. The American Cancer Society calling the changes particularly egregious. The American Medical Association warning of second-class health care coverage if people with pre-existing conditions are able to obtain coverage at all.
The House vote could happen sometime this afternoon. If the bill passes, it's on to the Senate, where it will face an even tougher fight. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
Well, the two go hand in hand, Folly Beach and, of course, the pier.
And it seems worms are eating away at the popular oceanside destination. Brody Hart is there live, getting to the bottom of the piling problems and what's being done about it. Brody?
Yeah, Tessa, that's right. Charleston County Parks and Rec say they're already doing something about this problem. But unfortunately, it's only temporary, so we're underneath the Folly Beach Pier right now, and they say because of that issue, they may have to rebuild this entire thing. And here's the problem. It's in these pilings right here that are holding up the Folly Beach Pier. Those marine borer worms are getting right into these and undermining the structure of this pier. Now, they're pouring concrete around some of these pilings to try to snuff out those worms, but right now it's just not enough. And we're told the County Park and Rec will seek more than $7 million to rebuild the pier. They'll seek approval at today's County Finance Committee meeting to hold a series of public hearings about raising that money. Now, officials will ask for also more than about $45 million total. That money would go to about 20 different county park projects over the next 5 years. This Folly Beach Pier rebuild's one of the biggest.
Because I think all the work they just did, they did new pilings underneath, and so I'm sort of surprised at that. But I would welcome it as long as it is as good as this or better, because this pier's great.
The first stage will be hiring an engineer to go through the permitting and design phases of it. And then we'll actually have to go out and find construction crews to rebuild it. But nothing has been set in stone as to what the pier will look like.
Officials also stress the pier is perfectly safe for the foreseeable future. And this is also a very preliminary plan right now. Now we're back out here live underneath the pier. Leaders tell me it may just be a matter of finding a way to replace these wooden pilings that you're seeing going down into the water. They may not have to rebuild this entire pier, but either way, you're looking at least 2 years before we see any kind of construction get off the ground, and likely about 4 years before we see construction completed, no matter how intense this project ends up being. But for now, we're live here right underneath the Folly Beach Pier. Tess and John, that's the latest. I'll send it back to you.
Well, some quick stats about that pier that caught our eye this morning. It's more than 1,000 feet long, 25 feet wide, 23 feet above sea level. This is the second longest pier on the East Coast. Right now, it's open from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m.
If you don't know what stung you, don't pee on it.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Some unsightly creatures washing up on beaches just south of us, and experts say they're headed our way. Portuguese man-o'-wars have been spotted on beaches from Savannah to Hilton Head Island. Officials want you to be on the lookout for these colorful yet harmful organisms.
So you'll see something floating in the water that looks like a purple or a blue or even a pink balloon. They're not deadly, but they can even sting after they've washed up to shore.
And she says that those Portuguese men of war actually quite common in our area. Here's the catch, though. The tentacles can be more than 150 feet long. So DNR officials are asking you to pay attention to warnings posted on the beach. If they are spotted in the water, of course, do not get in.
Thank you. Well, keeping our coastal waters clean, that's the focus of Anti-Offshore Drilling News Conference today. It's this morning up in Myrtle Beach. Stop offshore drilling in the Atlantic, and county officials are hoping to call attention to what they say are dangerous environmental impacts. The event will focus on plans by the Trump administration. They are reconsidering approving the South Atlantic states for offshore drilling. There's a parking problem taking shape downtown, and city leaders are fed up, and they plan to start ticketing and booting cars today. It has to do with that former Bilo location on Meeting Street. The store closed last year, and people just started parking in that lot for free.
No longer. All right, just about 9 past the hour right now. A new video speeding into our newsroom this morning. A chase caught on camera, and the restaurant burglary this low-country suspect is now being tied to.
Plus, shocking crash. The absolutely insane images caught on camera, and the one thing that may have saved the pilot's life.
A look ahead to the River Dogs game forecast for tonight. Not looking great out there. We have a really good chance of some storms moving in right about game time at 7 p.m. It will be windy downtown as well, with winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. I'm going to tell you when things get back to normal and the sun will be back out again. That's all coming up after the break.
Want to update you right on that breaking news. If you're just waking up and joining us, sources now reporting a fatality at a house fire on Bailey Drive near Dorchester Road and I-26 in North Charleston. Our Brody Hart is there live. Brody, what can you tell us right now?
Yeah, John, good morning. So SC on Fire confirmed that fatality for us here at this fire in North Charleston. I want to show you what this scene looks like right now. Still a very busy scene as crews are working in the rain. As you can see that white house over there through the trees. That's the home that was caught on fire earlier this morning. You can see crews are still over there. You can survey that damage there, especially to the top and the side part of that home. That smell of smoke still very heavy here in the air right now. There's also a blue tent over there in the front of the home. That is set up by the North Charleston Forensics team. We're seeing them on the scene here right now. We've also seen Charleston County, the North Charleston Fire Department, St. Andrews Fire here as well. Now we know firefighters first responded to this scene at about 4:45 this morning. Our crews got here not long after that. Now, at this point, of course, firefighters have not yet said what started this fire. Investigators still looking into that. But we'll bring you the latest throughout the rest of this morning as we learn more. But for now, we're live here in North Charleston. John, that's the latest. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Brody, while we still have you, though, can you tell us about road closures in that area right now? Looks like a lot of police and fire apparatus still behind you.
So, so Bailey Drive here, this road's definitely closed right now. As for the roads right here, right along the interstate, doesn't look like any of that is shut down. But this road, I can tell you, definitely closed off all the way through. So you're going to need to find another way to I-26 if you typically come down this street. But John, right now, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other traffic issues at this point.
All right, Brody Hart, live for us in North Charleston. Brody, thanks. Happening right now, leaders getting ready for a hotly anticipated day of testimony. Fired FBI Director James Comey answering questions in Washington. What we already know about his planned remarks. We'll have that story coming up. First, though, a live look outside. This view comes to us from our dockside camera over the harbor. And notice some big changes as soon as you step out the door today. It's definitely a little bit chillier. Those gray skies, though, still clinging around. Hopefully, we'll get some sunshine in here today. Meteorologist Emily Gracie joining us right now with your hour-by-hour look ahead. Em?
Yeah, looking a lot better by this afternoon, but we have a few hours to go before we get into some drier conditions. And it is wet out there this morning once again. We're still dealing with the rain, and on top of that, the wind as well. So it is going to be breezy, especially on some of those bridges this morning. Right now, we're seeing showers across the area, some heavy rain in a few spots, but for the most part, just ongoing precipitation here and steady rain that could continue here for another couple of hours. Temperature-wise, big difference out there this morning. Take a look at this. Near 60 in Charleston, upper 50s in Moncks Corner, 63 right now in Walterboro. So we are seeing a big difference in those temperatures this morning. And we are going to see some changes on the way, not only in our temperatures, but in our sky coverage. I'll tell you what time today the sun will be out, what to expect for the upcoming weekend. That's all coming up. Let's get a check on those wet roads now with Erica Scriba.
Thanks, Emily. We do have a report of standing water on the Isle of Palms on Palm Boulevard, right between 31st 31st and 33rd Avenue. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, this accident in Somerville on Sangaree Parkway at Indian Drive. We also have a crash just in near Harleyville, 7 Mile Road, right near Judge Street. This crash reported with injuries. Let's take a live look and see how things are moving on 526. Very wet out there at Clements Ferry Road and pretty heavy in those eastbound lanes headed toward us. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson, Toyota of Charleston.
6:33 right now in bombshell testimony. Former FBI Director James Comey says President Trump demanded his loyalty and hoped that Comey would end the FBI investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. That is according to a prepared statement released by the Senate Intelligence Committee on Wednesday. Our national correspondent, Michelle Micheluso, has a preview of the blockbuster hearing captivating the country set for later today.
Former FBI Director James Comey says he started keeping detailed accounts of conversations between him and President Trump after their first meeting at Trump Tower back in January. That's where Comey discussed Russia's meddling in the 2016 election and told Trump that he was not being investigated by the FBI. And the 7 pages of explosive testimony from Comey had even more revelations. According to former FBI Director James Comey's prepared remarks, Comey writes at a January 27 dinner at the White House, President Trump asked Comey if he wanted to keep his job as director and then said, quote, "I need loyalty. I expect loyalty. I didn't move, speak, or change my facial expression in any way during the awkward silence that followed." The testimony then describes a February 14th Oval Office meeting when Trump and Comey were alone. Trump said, "I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go," according to Comey. A day earlier, Flynn resigned. On a March 30th phone call, Comey said Trump stressed that the FBI's Russia investigation was a cloud hanging over him and was interfering with his ability to do his job, and hoped Comey could lift the cloud. The last time the two spoke was April 11th, and Comey was fired a month later. At a press conference in May, we asked the president if he ever pressured FBI Director Comey to stop the investigation into Michael Flynn. That's when he responded, "No, no." Next question. On Capitol Hill, I'm Michelle Micheluso.
You won't even need to change the channel. ABC carrying that testimony live starting at 10 o'clock this morning. In the meantime, you can read that full opening statement on our website, abcnews4.com. We're also going to be keeping a close eye on President Trump's Twitter feed, and so will people at one Washington, D.C. area bar. The Union Pub, believe it or not, offering a free round every time the president tweets about Comey. The tweets do have to come during that testimony today. They'll keep the deal flowing until the testimony ends or 4 p.m., whichever comes first. Well, there's a business boom happening in Charleston County. A safety equipment company is expanding. Leaders say that Protego plans to create 17 new jobs. The new facility in North Charleston also coming with a $3.7 million investment. Online hiring for that company already underway. Imagine driving to work this morning and you see a 2-year-old little boy walking down a busy road by himself. What would you do? That was the question a woman in Hanahan had to answer on Wednesday. Police say that she found that child walking on Remount Road. She picked him up, changed his diaper, then tried to find the child's parents. Eventually, she had to hand him over to a firefighter.
She was a good Samaritan. She stopped, she took her time, she went door to door trying to find if the child belonged to anybody before she brought him here.
That child is now in DSS custody. Police found the mother at a mobile home on Sumner Avenue. She told officers she had just woken up and realized that the boy was missing. Police have not said, though, whether charges will be filed. Breaking overnight, another possible North Korean missile launch. Right now, it's being described as unidentified projectiles. Intelligence officials say they were fired into the sea off the Korean peninsula earlier today. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff says the projectiles assumed to be surface-to-ship missiles. This would be North Korea's 4th missile test since May. We're also following 2 high-profile trials beginning today. Ray Tensing's retrial supposed to begin. Opening statements taking place in Ohio this morning. He's charged with murder and voluntary manslaughter. Former University of Cincinnati police officer shot and killed Sam DuBose during a traffic stop in Mount Auburn back in 2015. Meantime, jurors may soon hear from Bill Cosby. He's accused of sexually assaulting Andrea Constand. 7 hours of testimony presented Wednesday in that courtroom. It came from the woman who says that the comedian drugged and assaulted her. Cosby may not take the stand in this trial, though, but jurors are expected to hear statements he made about giving his accuser 3 unmarked pills in 2004. A decision in that case could come as early as next week. Well, she's going places, and she wants local kids to do the same. A teacher taking her dream to new heights, and now she's planning to take students along for that ride. Plus, back to that breaking news in North Charleston, SCOnfire.com. Now reporting at least one fatality at this fire on Bailey Drive. We've got a crew there live right now tracking the story for you. More to come as Good Morning Charleston continues.
And some fog out there in addition to the rain, cool temperatures, and wind. We're down to 2-mile visibility here in Charleston. I'm going to tell you when all of this messy weather clears out, when we'll see the sun again. That's all coming up.